Last year, I built my own world for Star Wars called the Dark Universe. This year, I thought I'd start a new universe, a more fantasy-driven one that will incorporate fantasy, sci-fi, steampunk, and anything else I can think of. This map will grow and more will be added as I expand this universe, and we will meet the residents, myths, legends, and monsters of this strange faraway land. Welcome to Shambalshire. My name is Aaron, and you're watching Terrain by Aaron. Before we get to the story, I bought this kit from Amazon. Now, after one cancellation and Storm Dara, it finally arrived 3 weeks later than advertised. Taking it out of the Amazon envelope, I was mildly disappointed to see that this was something that looked like it was a Temu special. Cheap and tacky. Not like the glamour pictures on Amazon that I'd seen. Also, the instructions were in Chinese, but it did have black and white pictures. So I grabbed my clippy clips and started taking bits off sprues. Once I had a big pile of plastic parts, I sorted them into some kind of order and began the slow process of making arms and legs for my White Knight. To soon realise the pictures weren't actually correct, so it was a bit of trial and error really. For every step forward, I was taking 2 steps back. After what felt like 2 hours, yet it was only 30 minutes, I'd managed to assemble 2 legs and 2 arms. Yay me! I have to say it was fun not to use the glue for once, but I must admit I did use it on some of the shoulder joints as the fittings weren't exactly fitting correctly. It was time for the torso, which surprisingly didn't take long at all. Then it was time to just put everything together, which was a bit like a Lego piece where everything just clipped into place. Alright, they eventually clipped into place with a little persuasion. And this bit, when I get it to stand, reminded me of the Monty Python film The Holy Grail. It is merely a scratch. The figure came with 2 different helmets. I chose this one because I've plans for the other helmet for a different build. But that's it, that's my White Knight all done and dusted. Now it's on to the diorama. I brought out some scrap XPS foam to make a base, and while I make that, I'll explain who this White Knight is, or more specifically, was. Now, the White Knights of the Chipped Teacup Order were a band of 200, fierce and foreboding. They travelled Shambalshire, ridding villages of monsters that terrorised the village folk, never accepting any kind of payment other than a good cup of tea. Now that, from a financial standpoint, didn't seem a very good idea, what with armour to polish and horses to feed, but they were honourable men. Now I'm saying men, maybe there were women amongst their ranks, who knows, but they would never take their helmets off, so nobody knew if it was a man or a woman talking. Anyway, the knights would travel to village, banishing monsters or cryptids back to the hills, and this is how they met the rabbits in Dimbley Dam. Now those rabbits were having a horrid time with something that was eating their carrots, so the White Knights trained the peaceful rabbits, who, to be honest, weren't the cleverest in Shambalshire, in combat and building mechanical vehicles that you may have already seen in a previous video. That was called the Carrot Crawler. If you haven't, watch that video, after this one obviously. It was on one stormy night while the White Knights were patrolling the 2 remaining carrot fields that a fierce battle broke out, and the news actually made it into the book of little known but interesting facts of Shambalshire. Surprisingly, it wasn't a bestseller, and all but 1 copy remains in the Goblin's Temple high on Binker Island, but that's a story for another day. For 3 nights and 2 days, the fearless White Knights fought this strange metallic beast that can only be described as an upside-down computer mouse with lots of bright lights and wires protruding out of it. They pushed back the monster into the hills of Tweak Peaks. The battle had come at a cost though. The knights' numbers were low. Whittled down from 200, only 4 knights stood over their fallen comrades. Vowing to take revenge, the remaining knights headed into the hills to seek vengeance for their fallen, and pretty quickly found the monster hiding in the bushes trying to repair itself. The White Knights charged. 3 became 2, 2 became 1. He fought bravely until, by a strange twist of fate, slipped on some moss. His sword spun from his grip, hit the ground and ricocheted, turning back on itself and pierced the knight's armour. Shocked by this cruel twist of fate, the monster dragged the knight to the highest peak and laid him to rest so the knight could see his last sunrise. Before the monster, who was feeling pretty bad for the mortally wounded knight, slipped off and disappeared into the morning mist. As the sun rose into the morning sky, the rabbits had plucked up courage and armed themselves and headed into the mountains to help the White Knights. But soon it became apparent that they were a little too late. With nothing to be done to help or save the White Knight, they paid their respects to the last knight of the Chipped Teacup Order, and in homage to keep the spirit alive, decided to call themselves the White Rabbits of the Sniffler Order, only because of all the tears they had cried over their fallen hero. Now the rabbits make a pilgrimage once a year to the final resting place of the last knight and look out over Shambalshire in hope that they will one day seek vengeance over that monster that had caused so much damage. Until then, they're still growing carrots and living a peaceful life. And that's it. That's the story of the last night. The second chapter comes down over Shambalshire. Let me know in the comments if you like the story. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You know, all that YouTubery stuff. Glamour shots are next, so until next time, keep scratching that build everybody. Thanks for watching.